He signalled his readiness to jump ship, desert a sinking UPA and join the surging NDA. If he goes through with his plan, it will give the BJP a major Dalit leader as an ally. And on the other side, it will boost his chances of reaping a richer electoral harvest. Till last week, Ram Vilas Paswan looked like a likely ally for the Congress and Lalu's RJD in Bihar, trying to forge a secular formation. But the man who was the first to leave the NDA after the 2002 riots thinks cornering more seats to fight in 2014 is more important than his ideological positioning. Or does this mean that the riots of 2002 are no longer an issue in the elections of 2014?
इस्तीफा इसीलिए दिया गया है कि चूंकि जो गुजरात की घटना है वो घटना ने पूरे देश को हिला दिया है.
He was the first to quit the NDA over the 2002 riots, but he's been equally quick to hop onto the Modi bandwagon for 2014. A BJP-LJP alliance is all but official. A final decision is likely to be taken within the next 48 hours.
Headlines Today has got exclusive details of just how this alliance was forged. Chirag Paswan and Rajnath Singh held a 4-hour-long meeting. And later on, Rajnath Singh took the proposal of the LJP to Narendra Modi. And under the deal, LJP could possibly get 7 seats to contest. Chirag Paswan will fight from Jamui. His father Ram Vilas Paswan from Hajipur and his uncle Ramchandra Paswan from Samastipur.
And the LJP's rising star has already declared that the riot taint doesn't matter anymore.
इस्तीफा इसीलिए दिया गया है कि चूंकि जो गुजरात की घटना है वो घटना ने पूरे देश को हिला दिया है और उस घटना से न सिर्फ देश में बल्कि विदेश में भारत की छवि गिरी है और ऐसा लग रहा है कि शायद जो है सरकार जो है मुख दर्शक होकर के देख रही है.
देखिए, वील क्रॉस द ब्रिज व्हेन इट कम्स. अभी इस बारे में कोई भी चर्चा करने का कोई मतलब नहीं है, बट हकीकत यही है कि अब मोदी जी के ऊपर दंगों के दाग हैं या नहीं है ये कोई चर्चा का विषय नहीं है. जब न्यायालय से ही जब एसआईटी की तरफ से जब उन्हें क्लीन चिट मिल गई है तो अब इन बातों पे चर्चा करने का कोई मतलब नहीं है.
Clearly this realignment is not a function of conviction but convenience, and it has sent shockwaves through Bihar's political landscape.
That I think it is completely and purely speculative, because the person who chose to walk out of a government on the question of the Gujarat program, the program of 2002, I think would find it hard to really take a U-turn on that position.
आपने संकल्प लिया है, कटिबद्धता है सेकुलर ताकतों को मजबूत करने के लिए, देश को वादा किया है, प्रदेश को भरोसा दिया है और अचानक इसमें कोई बदलाव कीजिएगा स्वार्थ के लिए.
किन आधार पे एक आदमी का स्टैंड बदलता है, कैसे क्या होता है, ये तो वही बेहतर बता सकते हैं.
But Paswan's rumoured comeback has already started murmurs of dissent in the BJP, with some leaders openly opposing it.
ऐसे सिद्धांतहीन लोग, ऐसे अवसरवादी नेता, ऐसे अवसरवादी राजनीतिक दल जिसके साथ आज गठबंधन की खबर कल से छप रही है, लोजपा और ये तमाम लोग, आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी को कोई गठबंधन की आवश्यकता नहीं थी. और हमने कोर कमेटी में भी ये चर्चा किया था. कोर कमेटी में इस बात की कोई चर्चा नहीं हुई थी, लेकिन अचानक मैं देख रहा हूँ ये लहर कल से जो मैं देख रहा हूँ ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है. ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लिए आत्मघाती कदम होगा.
For the alliance to come about, Modi will have to steamroll internal opposition, as that would be crucial for him to bring alive his NDA plus. This is what the Vajpayee government managed at its peak, a formidable alliance that has since fallen apart. Modi's NDA has seen 3 players join since May 2013, since he was made the prime ministerial nominee, and there are others queuing up. The challenge is to turn those opportunities into tie-ups. But Paswan for Modi will be a prized catch, for it will hit Rahul's alliance mathematics in Bihar, and it will bring along Paswan's transferable vote bank. And most of all, it will, in 2014's political idiom, signal the end of Modi's untouchability over 2002. With Rohit Singh in Patna, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Nitish Kumar left the NDA because he said that Narendra Modi was communal, he was divisive. People in the Janata Dal United, the so-called secular forces across India, believed that Narendra Modi would be a divisive figure, that people would not come under his umbrella in the way that they did under Vajpayee if Ram Vilas Paswan were indeed to come under the NDA's umbrella? Would that signal the end of Modi's untouchability and really smash any argument about this being a communal versus secular fight? Joining us on center stage tonight, Ajay Alok, representing Nitish Kumar's party. Naresh Gujral from the Akali Dal has been working behind the scenes trying to get extra allies for Narendra Modi and the BJP. Meenakshi Lekhi is representing the BJP tonight. We've also got with us at this time Kamal Farooqi. I want to go across first to Ajay Alok, because Nitish Kumar, much more than anyone else, said Narendra Modi was a divisive communal force and that no secular party would ever ally with him. We're already seeing Ram Vilas Paswan, the leader who left after the 2002 riots, supposedly on the issue of the Gujarat riots, now coming back. Does that to you signal the end of Modi's untouchability and probably the fact that there is a big Modi wave that other parties now want to latch on to and be a part of? Ajay Alok.
Rahul, let me begin with that. First of all, if at all this LJP and BJP alliance has been finalized or not, it has not yet been officially declared.
Yes.
But if this is the case, that doesn't make Mr. Modi being very acceptable. Because you see, in 1999 also Mr. Ram Vilas Paswan was with NDA and he contested elections under NDA forum. 2002 he formed his party, LJP, on the basis of Gujarat's right that he cannot stay with NDA government, and so he left out. Now in 2004 he went around with the UPA, and there was his statement that wherever I go I get 30 to 32 seats, whichever alliance I am in. He was under disillusion, which was badly broken in 2009 elections. So now he wants to just trying to reverse his fortune if he wants to come in this kind of an alliance. Well, if he decides so, well, kudos to him, all my best wishes. Nothing more we have to say on this kind of an opportunistic and slimy alliance.
But Meenakshi Lekhi, the alliance hasn't been announced, and the LJP also is speaking in a forked tongue. We're seeing Suraj Bhan say something different from Chirag Paswan. How do you know that Ram Vilas Paswan is actually willing to ally with Narendra Modi? For all you know, he could be using talks with the BJP as a leverage to ensure that he gets from Lalu and from Rahul what he really wants, Meenakshi Lekhi.
No, but whenever I claim that LJP is with the BJP, it is just a speculation by the media, and I'm required to make comment on the comments made by LJP leaders, so that I will do. And so far as LJP leaders are concerned, whether you have a choice to stay in the opposition or you have a choice to be with the government, what needs to be right now seen is that these are the people who left NDA on a trumped up charges of Mr. Modi being a divisive figure, non-secular, etc., etc. And today the follies have been realized that none of those things were found to be true, and it was nothing more than a malicious propaganda, and he continues to be one of the most popular leader of the country. And since he is one of the most popular leader of the country, you could be in effect in opposition to him as a political party, or you could be with him as a political party. The question is, somebody who's made or whose father has made an obnoxious statement in the past is doing the course correction, which is fine by me.
Okay, you're saying this is a course correction. Does it also signal to you, Naresh Gujral, that there are several regional parties that now realize that there is a Modi wave building and therefore want to be on the right side of this Modi wave and don't want to be against it?
Undoubtedly, they all want to be on the Modi bandwagon. They see which way the wind is blowing, and they don't want to be on the losing side. But Rahul, I want to ask another question.
Yes.
Where were these custodians of secularism for the last 30 years? Why have they not been raising their voice for the Sikhs? 10,000 Sikhs were massacred by Congress leaders on the streets of Delhi, all over India. And till today, action has not been taken against the leaders. Why do they remain quiet? Why this selective secularism?
You are calling this selective secularism,
but a ploy.
But you aren't answering my question, Mr. Gujral.
That they come out with at election time.
1984 is a separate issue which we are prepared to discuss and debate, which we've done so in the past and we can do again. But right now I'm asking you about Modi. Are you not concerned, Mr. Gujral, that Ram Vilas Paswan could be using his talks with the BJP through Shahnawaz Hussain as a leverage just to try and extract an extra pound of flesh which Lalu and Rahul are currently not prepared to give him? Or do you think there's a larger message in these talks?
Look, he's a very smart politician. And as I said earlier, he can see very well which way the wind is blowing. And why should he be on the losing side? Even if he gets 10 seats there and he loses 9 of those, what use is that to him? He would rather have 5 with us and win 4.
5 with us and win 4, you're saying, is that what you're prepared to give? Because we're also seeing a lot of games.
No. I am not anywhere in the act. I am not negotiating. But I am just saying that if I were him, I would not want to have 10 seats and win and lose all. I'd rather have a few less, but win majority of those seats.
Kamal Farooqi is also joining us on this program. Mr. Farooqi, you especially on center stage on several occasions in the past have argued that Narendra Modi is politically untouchable. Several leaders who depend on the so-called secular vote will never come and back him. He'll never be able to do a Vajpayee. Now Paswan says he's willing to go and do business with Narendra Modi. Does that not shred that argument of the secular versus communal divide to pieces, Mr. Farooqi?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
In fact, as far as Mr. Paswan's character is concerned, that is, we have seen it in the past that he has been very smart in switching over from one place to another. So that cannot be a barometer for secularism or communalism. In fact, whosoever goes there or whosoever leaves Mr. Modi, he will not decide whether he is a secular or a communal. Ultimately, the entire 2002 will continue to decide whether he is a communal one or secular.
No, but you're not answering my question, Mr. Farooqi. Here is someone who 1 month ago was trying to push a so-called secular front. He now decides he wants to jump away from the secular front and join and embrace Narendra Modi. Is that not a potent message being sent across one of the prominent Dalit leaders of the country now prepared to do business with Narendra Modi, Mr. Farooqi?
No, I doubt whether he is a prominent Dalit leader, because we have seen in the past that he has got very little impact on the Dalits. But the question is, Mr. Paswan's attitude, whether he is crossing this line or another line, will not decide whether Mr. Modi is a secular or not. Mr. Modi is a secular or not has already been decided in his yesterday's speech in Assam, wherein he has said that all the Hindus from the Bangladeshis, if they are brought in over here, this must be settled, and all the Muslims would be infiltrators.
No, but that essentially shows, Mr. Farooqi, what Naresh Gujral and others have been arguing, that there is no secular versus communal divide. This is politically bogus. Everyone gravitates towards power. Everyone gravitates towards the magnet that has the maximum possibility of attracting power. That is the reality. That is how every party will judge what they intend to do. Mr. Farooqi.
That is why Shiromani Akali Dal has also done this. And as far as 84 rights are concerned, he is wrong that the people have not been raising their voice. We were the one who have been raising this voice. We were the one who saved our Sikh brethren. We were the one who, in fact, we are still fighting their cases all over. And it is not the question of Hindus or Muslims or Sikhs. It is a question as to on what basis the country will proceed. Whether we will proceed by disseminating one community.
You are not coming to the argument that we are liking, that we want to put on center stage. I will not allow this debate to go off on a tangent, Mr. Farooqi. And I want to put this question to Naresh Gujral. No, because there is a question. For long it was thought, Mr. Gujral, that Modi is untouchable. Do you think if Paswan comes on board with the NDA under Modi, it will signal that this whole communal versus secular divide, that whole argument itself is a fallacy, that people only want to be on the winning side.
It is the opportunism.
And they will then take any ideological somersault to be on the winning side, Mr. Naresh Gujral.
Yeah, this somersault you can understand.
I want to ask one question.
Just one by one. Don't speak over Mr. Gujral. Allow Mr. Gujral an opportunity.
Does the left have the monopoly to give the certificates of secularism? When they were supporting the Congress government, which was responsible for the Sikh carnage, that was okay. Then what happened to the secularism? Now that it's convenient for them, and when they see that everybody can see the reality and everybody can see that they're losing, so now this bogey of secularism is being raised again.
like you have built this spectre that Modi is untouchable, nobody will do business with him, he's a pariah. Ram Vilas Paswan's overtures to Modi indicates that that is not true. This is pure play opportunism. If they believe Modi can be their ticket to power, they will embrace him. No communalism, no secularism, nothing. The only thing that matters is power. That's the way every party will view Modi.
I agree with you, Rahul.
Just give Ajay Alok an opportunity. Ajay. Go on. Yes, Ajay.
First of all, what you said, I completely disagree to it, that any party who's gravitating to power will adore Modi and forget the basic ideas of secularism. What we are discussing here, had it been the case, we wouldn't have left BJP and would have reduced our absolute majority into a simple one. Now, there are some certain values, there are certain principles which every political party has an attachment to. But this kind of slimy opportunism keeps on happening in politics. Please don't take it as a generalized case of thing. Now we are talking, everybody is speaking about secular front. There is no called secular front. There is one group, which is NDA, which is being led by a divisive character. There is another group, UPA, which is being led by Congress, which has so many question marks on them. And there is a third group, parties like us, what we call as a third force, like Mamata Banerjee, like Biju Janata Dal. We all have our secular values intact. But that doesn't mean we are going to align or we are going to have some values in and faith in Mr.
So allow me now to use this opportunity to give our viewers a sense of who is where when it comes to joining the Modi bandwagon, because there's a lot that's cooking behind the scenes. Let's give our viewers a full inside peek into what's happening in the corridors of power. Let's just take it one by one. We'll start, of course, with Paswan. Back channel talks are at an advanced stage. We are told that a final announcement could be made within 48 hours. However, there is a concern in the BJP that there is a possibility that he could be bargaining, he could be posturing to try and extract his pound of flesh from Lalu and from Rahul, who haven't been giving him what he wants. That's as far as Paswan is concerned. Then there is, of course, Chandrababu Naidu. Again, we are told from sources in both parties the discussions are at a final stage. The BJP's position on Telangana in Parliament has been a bit of a setback, but is not considered to be a deal breaker for Chandrababu Naidu. He's still in talks, he's still keen, he's still interested. This is also important for both parties because their individual vote shares. The C-voter projection for Andhra Pradesh shows in Telangana, BJP has 19% vote share, Chandrababu Naidu has 15, adds up to about 34. The TRS is about 42% projected vote share. Individually, they can't take on the TRS. Together, they could. That's what they're hoping for. Then there is the INLD, where deliberations have been on for quite some time now. They are awaiting the final verdict of the court on Chautala's appeal. If the court acquits Chautala in his appeal, then there is a possibility that there could be an alliance very soon. If that doesn't happen, then of course Modi may not want to ally with Om Prakash Chautala because he's been convicted in a case of corruption. Then there is Praful Kumar Mohanty from the AJP. Talks are on, no final decision has been taken yet. The BJP is concerned, especially the RSS, that the AGP, when in power, tends to go soft on the immigrants. They want AGP to take a clear position on the immigrants, on the issue of minorities. That's what's lost the AGP some credibility in Assam, and therefore they want the AGP to come out and take a strong line on the same side of Hindutva. Then, of course, there is the discussion with MDMK, with the DMDK in Tamil Nadu of Vijaykanth. The BJP is trying to reconcile the demands of the PMK and the MDMK, with which the party has already tied up. Remember, in Tamil Nadu, it's about who has the strongest alliance. Vijaykanth has about 10% of the vote share. Added to it, Modi's appeal and the vote share of the PMK and the MDMK could make the NDA a force. However, the DMDK is still in talks with the Congress, and there is no guarantee that they will be on the side of Modi. He again is playing this game both ways. This raises the following big questions. Will Paswan's entry signal the end of untouchability for Modi? Is Paswan using talks with the BJP as a leverage to pressure Lalu and Rahul? Let's just go back, and I want to put the first question to Meenakshi Lekhi, because the talks with the AJP have been going on for a very long time. Even with Chandrababu Naidu, these talks have been going on for a very long time. So also with Chautala, nothing's happened. It's all up in the air. If Modi was such a big draw, can it not be argued that these parties would have been desperate to announce these decisions? These talks have been happening and nothing's come of it so far, Meenakshi.
No, many things are happening. Today, Mr. Uday Raj has joined the BJP, and so many other people have joined the BJP. All in due course, all will be coming out, but I wanted to address the JDU representative's voicing. And JDU representative tried to show that he is not an opportunist. Now, if he is not an opportunist or his party is not an opportunist, I think somebody has to change the definition of opportunism, because they continued with the NDA, not from now, but a long time. And then, just short of elections, at that time, they went along with the Congress, who they have fought election against. And if that is not opportunism, I don't know what opportunism is. They are in par by the support of the Congress party, against whom they have actually contested elections. And when it comes to secularism, all the history of rights in this country is the history of Congress party. And no one will know better than people living in Bihar, and especially
no, but that again is not the answer to my question. Let me put the same question to Naresh Gujral, because this is not about political brownies points being scored against each other. The reality, Mr. Gujral, and you've been saying so for weeks, give me a few days, you will see the TDP alliance being announced. Give me a few days, you will see the AGP alliance being announced. None of this has happened. A lot of this could just be spin doctoring by people like you and others in the NDA. We will believe this only when these alliances finally get announced. And even now, after what happened in Telangana, Chandrababu Naidu could possibly develop cold feet and decide not to come over because of the position the BJP is taken. Mr. Gujral.
Well, first of all, these are early days. Elections have not been announced as yet. So, obviously, it takes a little while for all these things to be talked about and for things to be formalized. But let me make one thing very clear. At no stage did BJP leave any ambiguity with Mr. Chandrababu Naidu that they would not be supporting the cause of Telangana. So Mr. Naidu knew very well BJP's stand on Telangana. There is no ambiguity there at all. Yes, he's also gone back to his state after the new law has been passed by the parliament dividing the state. But I am certain that in the next couple of weeks, after elections are announced, a lot of these alliances would be formalized.
You're saying they will still happen, talks have been going on, but I come back once again, Mr. Kamal Farooqi, to the question of communalism versus secularism. Chandrababu Naidu is another leader who taken a strong position against the Gujarat riots. He also coming back potentially into the NDA shows riots don't matter. What matters is who can get you to Raisina Hill, who can land you in power. That is all that matters to these regional parties. You spoke of Biju Janata Dal, you spoke of some of the other parties like Mamata Banerjee. For all you know, after the elections, they could do a somersault as well.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, whosoever joins, now this is Mr. Paswan who has joined, who or any other person you are referring, they may join the Modi bandwagon, but that will not put the whole matter straight. In fact, rather the matter will continue, and all those people who are thinking that he is being declared as innocent, absolutely they are fooling nobody else except themselves, because this is the very first stage of the legal battle. The Zakia Jafri case is just a first battle, and all other cases, what has happened to them? In fact, his own ministerial candidate, but say even the top person is on bail. The people have already gone.
No,
into
but
the
these
jail.
are arguments that have been made.
Things are there.
No, you're going through past arguments, Ajay Alok. These are arguments that people like Kamal Farooqi have made. Now, when a Paswan or a Chandrababu Naidu decides to ally with Modi, they do so despite these arguments by Modi's critics. So obviously the appeal of Modi is more than the sum total of the arguments against him, Ajay Alok.
Yeah, I guess they were talking of Modi wave all across the country. I don't know if there is a wave why they need all tired and retired people and party joining them.
So are you concerned that these people are joining Modi? Why are you worried? If they want to join Modi, what's your problem, Ajay?
Now let me come back. Let me give an answer to first to Ms. Meenakshi, who very smartly skidded your question about a possible alliance. Rather, she came on the opportunism and riots. So let me remind her, yes, there were riots in the country, in independent India, and they were under Congress. But in independent India, there has been only one riot which has been state-sponsored, and that is Gujarat riots. and that is why those rights do matters. And that is why we cannot be under. And if she calls that opportunism, I don't understand what the definition of opportunism
Meenakshi wants to counter you. But I also need to wrap up debate 1 tonight because our guests for the second debate are ready to go. But yes, Meenakshi, you must counter this point.
You know, interestingly, Mr. Alok's party was not only part of NDA when these riots happened. His chief minister was the railway minister when the bogie was burnt. And not only this, the n number of riots and murders which have happened in Bihar, I think he better count them and better count what has happened in the law and order situation in Bihar.
We have all counted what has happened in Bihar during our regime.
And we also know, allow me to complete. I did not
one by one, and both speak together. No one can be heard. No, one second, Ajay Alok, let us speak. Ajay Alok, let us speak. Just turn his finger down. One at a time. I will not permit this. This cannot be allowed to turn into a fish market. Ajay Alok, let Meenakshi complete. I'll come to you later. Meenakshi, complete your argument.
Trying to do because he can't meet the argument. When you can't meet the argument, this is what you do. You beat the tables, and this is what he's doing. He cannot meet the argument that his chief minister was the railways minister and continues to be in alliance for 17 years, and he doesn't think of riots at that time, and all the riots from Bhagalpur to whatever have happened in Bihar. What is his stand on those? What is his stand on Ranjit Sena and Ranbir Senas which are working in Bihar? What is his stand on the rioting which has happened in post-India, independent India under the Congress rules? And also the left-sponsored terrorism. 54,000 people have died in the state of West Bengal beginning from 1977 to 2012. Who is going to speak about that? All the political murders which have happened. What are you going to give answers for that? And you have a right to give me the certificate of being secular or communal. Who's going to write certificates? I am going to start writing certificates for you for not only being communal but being corrupt.
Okay.
And politically corrupt.
Final comments from all our guests. Ajay Alok goes first. Respond to Meenakshi Lekhi.
Number one, we would like to say that she has some lost memories or something. It was our government that Bhagalpur riot victims are behind bars. In our 8.5 years rule, there has not been a single riot. We do not believe in prospering that. As far as the left terrorism is concerned, as far as the left, please now listen to me. Please listen to me. I've listened to you very
No, in Gujarat, people are not behind bars. Does it go to Mr. Modi's credit that so many people have been convicted?
Please listen to me, ma'am. You should have the patience to listen, right? It was on our instance that Mr. George Fernandez, along with Mr. Vajpayee, your then Prime Minister, went to Gujarat. Your Chief Minister never invited Mr. Modi to come and see. It was on our insistence that Mr. Vajpayee said that Raj Dham Nibhao, if you are forgetting those. Your problem is...
Okay, one second.
But you remember
we're getting away from the topic. You know, people like Ajay Alok might never shift their position because they come from the Janata Dal United. But the one message going out, in conclusion, I want to go across to Naresh Gujral. Taken extreme positions, a lot of those who are in the middle, they will do a lot of these political somersaults. There's only one certificate being given, and it's a certificate of political expedience and convenience. Ideology doesn't matter, doesn't count for much. That's the message.
Rahul, the basic point is that they will try very hard to make it into a secular versus communal debate, but this is not going to wash. The country is very clear. It is an economic debate. People have lost hope with Congress government. They are looking for a economic messiah who they see in Mr. Modi.
Okay.
They want to see corruption behind their back, and they want to see a rising India, and they are voting for hope.
That's what you'd like to believe. But if Paswan does another political somersault and gets 2 extra seats from Lalu and Rahul and jumps back into the UPA bandwagon, then the BJP too could end up being very embarrassed.
We will still have 272.
We don't know.
We will still have 272.
What is very clear tonight is that the only certificate that matters is a certificate of convenience. There is no ideology, there is no conviction. Whoever believes that Modi can land them in power is willing to do business. It's as simple as that. Everything else is just political rhetoric.
But this is about Congress. They have been aligning
Mr.
with
Kamal
Congress,
Farooqi,
which is the most corrupt party and most
Meenakshi
communal
Lekhi.
party.
Rahul.
Yes, Mr. Farooqi, I'm out of time.
Rahul, you are unfair to us.
No, you must also speak, sir.
To me.
You must conclude. 20 seconds, Mr. Farooqi.
Yes, whether it is Paswan or anybody else, that is not the certificate whether Mr. Modi is an innocent or he's been exonerated. The fact of the matter is that Mr. Modi is still fighting the cases in the court, and it is not a fact what Meenakshi is saying.
Modi is not fighting
he
a
was
single
forced
case.
to take all those kind. No, Meenakshi, when you were talking, I was keeping quiet. Please,
Now, Meenakshi, you are doing
Mr. Listen to me.
Mr. Faruqi, what Ajay Alok was doing to you, that's not good either. Mr. Faruqi, complete your argument. 20 seconds, sir.
Yeah. So, as far as the conviction is concerned, it was not thanks to Mr. Modi. It was the intervention of Honorable Supreme Court, which had taken the cases out, which has forced the SIT to do like that. So, it will be the time it will deciding whether Mr. Modi is a
entrenched positions
mujrim or not.
On both sides,
deciding it.
There
but
are
Mr.
those
Paswan is not the certificate
who believe
for that.
in these entrenched positions. Then there are those who are prepared to do business with Modi, and clearly the number of people prepared to do business with Modi is rising. However, Naresh Gujral, a lot of the claims that you've been making will actually bear weight only when any of these parties actually announces a seat-sharing alliance. So far, what we've seen is a lot of balloons. Let's see some of those balloons becoming reality. Ajay Alok, Naresh Gujral, Meenakshi Lekhi and Kamal Faruqi for joining me on the first part of Centre Stage tonight. Thank you very much. Arvind Kejriwal's latest broadside on the national stage is a targeted attack on Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi. He wants to know who bankrolls the VVIP choppers that fly Modi and Rahul around on election campaign duty. The attack once again focuses attention on the need for non-negotiable probity by those who stake their claim to rule India.
और ये मोदी जी और राहुल गांधी आजकल खूब चुनाव प्रचार कर रहे हैं, सारा दिन हेलीकॉप्टर में घूमते हैं, सारा दिन हवाई जहाज में घूमते हैं। ये हेलीकॉप्टर किसके हैं जी? मोदी जी कहते हैं मैं चाय बेचता था, चाय बेचने वाले के पास इतने सारे हेलीकॉप्टर, चाय बेचने वाले के पास इतने सारे हवाई जहाज कहां से आ गए भाई? और ये फोटो है मेरे पास एक, ये फोटो है मोदी जी की, ये मोदी जी की फोटो है, इसके पीछे अडानी का हेलीकॉप्टर है, इसके पीछे अडानी का हेलीकॉप्टर है। मैं मोदी जी से पूछना चाहता हूं, ये बता दो जी आपके पास कितने हवाई जहाज है और कितने हेलीकॉप्टर हैं, और ये हेलीकॉप्टर और हवाई जहाज किसके हैं? कई लोग बताते हैं मुकेश अंबानी के हैं। अब मुकेश अंबानी अगर आपको हेलीकॉप्टर दे रहा है तो जीतने के बाद $8 नहीं $16 करवाएगा फिर वो यूनिट।
Arvind Kejriwal asks who's funding Narendra Modi's choppers, who's providing and paying for the charter rides that Rahul Gandhi takes every day. Joining us now representing the BJP, Sudhanshu Mittal. The BJP's been very, very quiet. Will you tell Mr. Kejriwal and the people of India who's funding these charter rides, Mr. Mittal?
As far as Mr. Kejriwal is concerned, I will tell him nothing.
Why not?
Allow me that. I will never tell him anything, because those who preach must also practice. What is the allegation? That there are charters which are taken and that somebody pays, and who's that somebody? Yes? I will not tell him this. For the simple reason, he doesn't tell anybody anything. So many questions have been asked, but he has not told him. But because Rahul, you had put up this question, I want to tell you,
yes,
who pays whom. Now first let's look at AAP.
No, I'm asking you a straight question. You can't turn this into a political speech. I'm asking you, who pays for Mr. Modi's chopper ride? Answer just that question.
Because to understand that, you have to understand the entire analogy.
No, what's the analogy? Every day he's flying from one part of the country to the other. Just explain. Because Modi is because Kejriwal has put out some pictures saying that Mr. Adani funds those planes. Is that true? Is that where he gets his funding from, and why? Answer just this question.
Rahul, first all the facts.
Yes.
There's something called DGCA in this country.
Yes.
DGCA logs in every second of every aircraft or a chopper which is flown in this country. It also logs in who's the passenger who's occupying it.
So who pays for it?
We know that. Exactly, yeah. So as far as any usage of any chopper or plane is concerned, no, you cannot just hide it. B, now who pays it? The BJP pays it. The BJP pays it out of check. There are check payments. Actually, I got delayed because of that. I was getting this entire log of the last 3 weeks.
What does the log say? Who's paying for it?
It says, It says this is a flight, this is a flying type, this is the company who owns this, and this is the invoice of the company.
We know that. Who's paying for it?
The party pays for it, BJP.
No, who's funding the party?
Now, who funds it? Who funds BJP? How are funds collected? There is the provision that anybody who pays beyond 20,000 rupees, his name, his address, and everything has to be given.
Correct.
Less than that, you can take donations in cash. We have a whole list of people who give us money, and the money which is deposited in the bank is then used to pay all this. Allow me one more thing. Here is the list of the donors, so-called list, because Mr. Kejriwal said and you repeated that. Here is the list of the donors of Mr. Kejriwal's party, right?
No, one second. You want answer. Sudhanshu, I'm asking you a straight question. Who is it who's funding Mr. Modi's chopper ride?
Everybody who pays BJP by way of donation, the entire kitty which then gets accumulated.
How much money has been spent on these chopper rides so far?
You can have the log tomorrow. That's what I said.
So are you prepared to put it out in the public domain?
No, it is put in an RTI. Say.
No, the BJP doesn't come under the RTI.
You haven't heard the question.
Yes.
You haven't heard the question. First, the DGCA will give you all the logs of usage of any chopper or a flight by any person. Take that. Go to Income Tax Authority and say, here is the expense. Please, can you let me know what BJP spent? And you'll have the facts. Because under law, we are supposed to give entire detail, not only to the income tax, but also to the election commission.
No, but is it not important in the interest of transparency for the BJP to tell us who's funding Mr. Modi's chopper ride? You aren't answering that question. You've spoken now for about 7 minutes without answering my main question.
No, Rahul, you have said BJP and Congress should answer.
Yes.
Should the Aam Aadmi Party also not answer this? Here is this list of the donors which they put on the web. Now, can I read it out to you? It says, rupee received. Let me take a bigger amount. 50,000 rupees. Here it is. Kumkum Saxena, India, UP, Lucknow, and amount. By this, can you identify the person who has paid this money?
No, but that's not an answer to the question.
No, that is the answer. That is, the standards have to be universal and uniform.
No, at least they are putting this out. You aren't even putting this out. Do you have a similar website where you put out your funding?
Let me tell you one more thing, Rahul. You had Miss Mayawati rather, giving out details of 1 crore, 2 crore people, saying this man, this number, this amount. The issue is the identity of the people who are paying this is established. By the domain, by the details on the website, it is not established. And if this fraudulence is what you're looking for, sorry, I'm not interested in anything fraudulent.
No, but you aren't answering my question, Mr. Mittal. There's a straight question. That Kejriwal has asked, does Adani pay for Modi's chopper rides? Is that yes or is that no?
He does not.
Because there are pictures that show that the chopper is Adani's.
That is exactly what I'm saying. You haven't heard.
Yes.
Every company which owns an aircraft or a chopper leases out. I'm entitled to take it from anybody who's offering it to me.
So who pays for that chopper ride?
The party pays for it.
I know the party pays for it. Who's funding the party when the party pays for it?
As I said, such millions of donors of the party.
You're showing me the Aam Aadmi Party is funding.
I'm saying this is just an example of the donors who give money to the party.
But that's the Aam Aadmi Party funding that you're showing me. One second. Just 1 second. Can I just reach out and get hold of this, please? Just 1 second. Here it is. You've got 4910 Gaurav Agarwal, Karnataka, Bangalore. He's paid 1,000 rupees to the Aam Aadmi Party. Kumkum Saxena, Uttar Pradesh, Lucknow. Check number this.
No, that's not the check number.
NE218806. Okay, rupees 5,000 paid to the Aam Aadmi Party. Does the BJP maintain a similar ledger? Are you prepared to maintain a similar ledger?
That is what I'm saying. Not only BJP maintains a similar ledger.
Do you put it in the public domain?
Please allow me.
No, what you tell the income tax department, I don't know. Can I go to the BJP website now and see it? Okay, tell me. No, 1 second. What's your email ID? Tell me now. I'll go to the BJP email ID and tell me.
I'm not supposed to follow Aam Aadmi Party, please.
No, but is that not a good practice?
No, because Aam Aadmi Party doesn't do it. That is what I'm trying to tell you and you're not listening to this. Now, let me give you this document. It's so strange. They say all our expenditures are in public domain. This is what I've taken out half an hour back.
Now 1 second. Rahul Mehra from the Aam Aadmi Party is joining us. Sudhanshu Mittal is tearing apart the Aam Aadmi Party. Rahul, saying that you don't declare who's paying you or where it's coming from. You put up Natta Singh, Prem Singh, Santa Singh, Banta Singh and any amount.
All the same thing.
And he says that doesn't mean anything. He's not answering my question though, Rahul, about who's paying for Modi's chopper rides. He says the BJP pays for it.
Yes.
He says the party is paying for it.
And there's a law which I'll get it for you tomorrow.
To the Election Commission. Do an RTI, you will find out. Rahul Mehra, how do you respond to Sudhanshu Mittal?
What do I say, Rahul? I think it's a laughable proposition. You go on the street, talk to any person all over India, and I think Sudhanshu Mittal will get his answer and the BJP will get their answer. Let me just say this. I've been very much a central figure for the Delhi elections in the fundraising and continue to be so even now. I can actually promise you, and I can give you an affidavit on it, that every penny, right from a penny to lakhs and lakhs of rupees which are given to us by ordinary citizen, a completely a person who has no means, who actually doesn't know where his next meal is going to come from, or be it a high net individual.
No, Rahul Mehra, this is again, I will not allow. One second. I will not allow either party to make a stump speech. I am asking you a straight. One second. Have you heard, Rahul, what Sudhanshu Mittal said? He said if Kejriwal wants to know who's funding Modi's rides, put an RTI to the DGCA. They will tell you which charter is paid.
Tell me who's funding him.
No, one second.
Why is he not telling us who's funding him? Please look at this. Donations received only after Delhi elections.
Yes.
What about before?
I think the question was to me.
What about the accounts? I have just given you the document. Just see that. It lists the expenditure statement till July 2013. We are sitting in February 2014. Where is it? Now, here is the expenditure statement of 2013. Look at this.
You are not allowing poor Rahul to speak. You are monopolizing the debate. He is asking some questions, you are asking him counter questions, and I still haven't understood who's funding the chopper ride.
Let me first put all the propositions in domain and then let him answer.
Let Rahul Mehra make some points at least. Go on, Rahul Mehra. Go on, Rahul.
And please ask this person who's the spokesperson of BJP probably to have some patience every time he comes and shouts.
Amazing, am I shouting?
So, Rahul,
I thought a clearer voice was not
shouting.
shouting.
Very simple.
Let him speak. Go on, Rahul. Make your point.
Rahul, the question is very simple. We have every day, why don't you try it out? You kindly contribute us any amount that you want
to.
So
you have the
and see
here,
whether it is
open
reflected within
page. Do they have the statement
now,
here?
Please, can you please have some patience?
Sir, come to the point. You will only do Lafazi, and if you think you can waste time by Lafazi, it doesn't work.
Mr. Mittal, you had your time.
I'm not going to respond at all.
You had your opportunity to make your point. Let Rahul Mehra make a point. You can counter him later. Let's have a healthy, civilized debate. Rahul Mehra, answer the question that he raises. He says,
thank you.
Do a RTI.
I am.
Ask the DGCA. They'll tell you. They will tell you whose charter we take and how much we pay. Rahul Mehra.
Rahul, it's absolute nonsense. It's like saying under the same RTI, we have got that more than 82% is from unknown sources of, unknown sources. Why are they running away from the fact that they are converting? And who are these people who have so much of love for BJP and Congress, who are giving them more than 80 to 85% of their amount which they raise from so-called from the public and the Aam Aadmi, and the names are not revealed? I mean, what is stopping them from being transparent, and what is stopping them from making self-disclosures? I think India has changed. And Aam Aadmi Party is also changing the public discourse and the political discourse. If they do not disclose this, then the only, the only result out of this will be that these are people who are taking unaccounted money. These are people who are dual-faced. They say one thing, the entire fund of,
Okay, you made your point. Rahul, we've understood what you're saying.
Who are giving them
Allow me to take this debate further.
Who are spending 50
now, Mr.
crores
Sudhanshu
on
Mittal,
every Narendra
like
Modi rally.
the Aam Aadmi Party does, why don't you reveal how much money you get from Mr. Mukesh Ambani, how much money you get from Mr. Gautam Adani, how much money does the BJP receive from the top corporates? Why is this not made public?
This entire list is given to the income tax and it is given to the election commission.
Why not disclose it publicly?
No, because
in the interest of transparency.
You have to understand.
Yes.
I would gladly do it.
Then do so.
Rahul, allow me to speak. I would gladly do it if people who are raising these standards or professing these standards are following it. Let them not preach if they do not practice. I have just demonstrated to you the complete fraudulence.
You are finding fault in what they are saying.
I'm not finding fault.
Why don't you do this?
Why don't you question
I still haven't,
this?
after 20 minutes of debating with this with you, I still haven't understood who funds the Daily Chopper.
Rahul, like them, it's the same. But is this sufficient? Is this information sufficient?
Their quid pro quo will come out.
Is this information sufficient?
No, but that's a fair point.
No.
You know, Rahul.
Is this information sufficient?
Fair enough. Let me build that question to Rahul. You say Maya Mascarenhas, Dinesh Chandra Pandey. Now, who is this person? Does this person exist? Doesn't exist? What is his PAN number? There's no Gautam Budh Nagar. You don't even give me a specific address. How do I go back and check?
You don't give.
How do I know that what you're saying is true?
You don't give address. You give nothing.
Santa Singh 30,000, Banta Singh 50,000, Rahul Mehra 60,000. How do we know
Mayawati did the same thing. Mayawati did exactly the
same thing. Rahul, who is stopping? Now, Rahul, can you not see the how the entire thing is on our website?
Please go.
We have a portal where people come and anybody can come. And they can put whatever name they want to put, but they have to disclose if they are from outside their passport numbers, if they are from here, their identity cards, their driving licenses or others. Now, if somebody wants to fudge and wants to put that, you know, Al Capino or somebody else gave these funds and puts it on our website and tomorrow wants to come on your show to earn a brownie point like Mr. Sudhanshu Mittal.
Amazing.
What is stopping Congress and BJP to put Rahul Gandhi's name there, to put Narendra Modi's name there?
That I will not reveal an identity.
We can't go into the back.
We can't
go into the back.
I mean, if this
but you are saying exactly the same thing. The BJP says we don't want to tell how much the corporates paid because other parties could target them. That's what Arun Jaitley has said in the past.
Allow me to.
We are doing self-disclosures of every penny.
Is given as it is required to be given. That's it.
No, but what about taking a position in the interest of transparency, Sudhanshu Mittal?
Ask them first.
Why ask them first? What about your own morality?
You have picked up this question from what Mr. Kejriwal has said.
It's a bona fide question.
No, if it's a bona fide, they should practice it first. I have just demonstrated. Secondly,
but you aren't even doing that.
I have just told you, July 2013 ke baad, there is no expenditure statement also. And you know, when
did you last put out an expenditure statement? When did the BJP last on its website put out an expenditure statement?
1 minute.
No, Sudhanshu Mittal.
Let me read out the
You are asking questions of them but not answering questions of yourself.
No, you are not listening to me now.
I am listening to you. When did you last put out an expenditure statement?
I have given it to the Income Tax Authority what I am required to do. But people who claim they transparent, let me read this out to you. This is their constitution.
I'm also out of time.
No. The constitution says the account shall be maintained on accrual basis.
Mr. Sudhanshu Mittal, you are caught. Your party is caught red-handed on national television.
Their website does not mention even one single detail of any expenditure they made in the last 6 months. And then you talk about transparency. Then you want us to be accountable for what Mr. Kejriwal says. Give me a break, man. I think in the interest of fair play, you should not pick up issues which fraudulent people like Mr. Arvind Kejriwal want to put in domain.
Neither Arvind Kejriwal dictates what we debate on center stage, nor the BJP.
Why should only BJP?
Rahul, I'm out of time. Our producers are saying we need to take a break. 20 seconds, conclude.
This is your constitution.
One by one, let him speak.
This is your constitution and this is your account statement. What does it say?
That you can go
public meeting expense 17,000 rupees, media campaign expense 15,000 rupees. Who spent, how much it has been
okay, let Rahul Mehra make a concluding argument. Go on, Rahul.
Enough of fraudgery.
Okay, so there is heat, there is dust. There is at least an attempt being made to be transparent, Mr. Mittal. You are turning around and saying, go to the Income Tax Department, go to DGCA. You put it on your website.
No, but
anyway,
I want to follow them, sorry.
I don't wish to take sides.
People is what I should follow. No, I will not follow.
I don't wish to take sides.
We are going to follow the rule of law. Not hoodwink people. We will not give fraudulent information as I just showed you. We will not say we have put every account.
Okay.
We will not say I will not answer the Home Ministry.
I am out of time.
I will not answer the ED.
You've heard the Aam Aadmi Party. You've heard the BJP. You decide where you stand. There's a lot of anger. Everyone's asking questions of the others, not answering questions themselves. I'm out of time on Center Stage tonight. India Reports when we come back on the other side. Thank you, sir. Please listen to the other person also. You're going off on a tangent. You must give someone an opportunity to speak. We have time only for this much. India Reports when we come back on the other side.